Hello, everyone. This is Travis J. Vernon, and welcome to today's podcast. For many years, I've been managing retail locations. I hire a lot of different people in a lot of different walks of life. Some of the most amazing people that I've hired have been what a lot of the society considers the laziest of the generations, the millennials. And I actually have to say that I don't think they are. Now, there are some things that they do very differently than a lot of the other generations up till that point. And there's one thing that has been pretty drastic that I've seen that has been a huge change. And I wish that they would change it back, and especially these younger generations, as they're starting to come in and work before they go off to college. And I've had some amazing kids work for me. Some have gone off to study at the University of Utah, Oregon State, Colorado State, Montana, USC, BYU, and just some other amazing, great schools for these kids to go to. I've loved watching how some of the youth have grown and adapted to this new society that we live in. Like I said, the one thing that I just think stands out so differently from when I was young is how they date now. Now, I'm not opposed to internet dating or meeting people online. What I'm talking about is when you actually go out on a date, or the repercussions of said date. Now, I could start to see this a little bit when I was in high school, because I always thought dating was fun, and I liked to date different people. I always thought that you dated people to try and figure out what you're compatible with, what you're looking for, what you like and don't like. But I've seen so many of these kids go through their entire time in high school with the same boyfriend, the same girlfriend. They even go to college with the same boyfriend or girlfriend, unless they go to different colleges. I've seen that quite a bit, where as soon as they get to a different college, they tend to break up. And if you're married to your high school sweetheart, good for you. Glad it worked. But how could you know what you like or don't like if you only date one person? Maybe I'm cynical. Maybe I'm the one that's out of whack. I enjoy dating. I still do. I still plan dates and adventures and things to do with my wife. I don't think that should ever change. Go on dates, go have fun, do different adventures. But when I talk to the kids nowadays about where they're going to go or how they're going to ask their date to prom or to the Sadie Hawkins dances, or, well, there's hardly any dances anymore, really. But there are a few, or what they're going to go do for a date. It's just so different. So I think that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit today. If you're married, you have a significant other, or you're dating, I'm going to give you a couple ideas and a couple tips to go actually have fun. Do things that are exciting and different. Now, that being said, last night on the way home, we're coming up on my wife's birthday, and I wanted to surprise her. I wanted to take her somewhere just for an overnight. Just go stay in a hotel, have a nice dinner in a different city, have a nice breakfast in a different city, and come home. Just for something fun to do, something different, someplace we hadn't been. But in the back of my mind, there's always that little doubt on whether she'll actually enjoy what we're going to go do, or if she had plans. I would love to be able to surprise her, but the last thing I want to do is surprise her with something that she didn't want to do, or she had to cancel things that she did want to do. So I know there's going to be a little bit of doubt, but there's also some things that you can do that are easy and fun. Like some of these kids will talk about just taking their date to a movie. I mean, sure, cliche, but how do you get to know somebody at a movie? Well, if you're talking in the movie to get to know somebody, you shouldn't be in a movie. You should go somewhere else, because that's annoying for everyone around you. I think long drives can be a good spot to get to know somebody. But if you get to know them pretty quickly and realize that's not who you want to be with, or even be around for that matter, now you've still got a long drive and you're trapped in a car. When Nancy and I first started dating, we actually went on a desert camp out to Topaz Mountain, which is about a 3.5 hour drive for me. So I picked her up, we drove down there, had some time to talk, set up camp in the desert. And that was one of the first times I realized, man, I could probably enjoy spending more time with her. We rolled into camp. I started setting up camp. She started setting up camp. We didn't talk a whole lot while we were setting up the camp. And then everything was set up and we just looked at each other like, wow, that was easy. We're just a good team. And how would you find that out if you didn't do those types of adventures? So back to dating. The date doesn't have to be extravagant to be memorable. I've said in many podcasts, my father would tell me, you only remember the best and the worst. Mediocrity gets forgotten. How many of the people you dated remember you for the worst date of their entire life or the best date of their entire life? It's hard to say. I hope there's some, but I don't think it's as hard as people make it out to be to have an enjoyable date and to go do something fun. You just have to break out of what you think is normal or the norm and date different people. Date people to enjoy it. Just because you go on a date with somebody doesn't mean that you're now engaged or you're taken or you're going steady or any of those things. You're just going out to meet somebody, enjoy the time together, and get to know more about them, and they get to know more about you, and you can really decide whether or not you want to spend any more time with that person. So here's one of my favorite dates. You have to find out what that other person's ice cream of choice is. Find out what their favorite ice cream is, and then just plan a small hike. It doesn't matter where you're going. Make sure that there's a vista at the end, though. You want to be able to either see the moon come up, see the sunset, see the lights over the city, see a beautiful waterfall. There needs to be a destination, and make sure you match that to the person. But then in your backpack, you have a small cooler with some dry ice, and make sure it's an individual one. You don't want to share. This is like a better way to go. Have an individual ice cream of your favorite and their favorite. So when you get up onto this hike, you talk, you hike, you have a good time. You get to where you want to go, have a seat, watch the sunset, and then you break out their favorite ice cream. How amazing is that? It's simple, fun. It doesn't have to be a complicated thing. Another fun, easy date could be cheesy, but I've done it. You just go to a store, buy a box of crayons and a coloring book. You can do the same thing, go to someplace nice. It'd have to be during the day, or you'd have to have some decent lights. And you pick a page in the coloring book to color for the other person, and they pick a page in the coloring book to color for you. And then you exchange. I thought it was kind of fun. I took the picture that I was given and hung it on my fridge. Something as simple as just a hike, or researching a new restaurant, or following a foodie on Instagram or TikTok and deciding that, hey, I'm going to go try out this new restaurant. It's supposed to be a hot spot. Would you like to go with me? It makes it for a unique, exciting experience that people just don't seem to do anymore. Now, one of the favorite things I used to do, this is all pre-chaos at airports where you could go in and meet people as they're coming off the plane right at the gate. The Salt Lake International Airport had a giant map of the world at the airport. Now, I don't know, maybe it's me and my friends that got this ruined for everybody, but we used to go and play the game Risk on the giant world map at the airport. Just divide it up with some painter's tape or some masking tape. So you have everything divided up and you play the game of Risk. And it's a giant size and it's super fun. Now, pre-cell phones, there used to be a ton of payphones at the airports too. So sometimes we would split up and you'd go check the payphones. One group would go one way, one group would go the other way, and you'd have a designated meeting spot. And you'd basically go do a payphone treasure hunt and check every one of the payphones to see who got the most change. When you met back at the meeting spot, whoever found the most change wins, and they get all the change. And then you go get ice cream, or a burger, or a shake, or whatever it is you like to do. Donuts, or all these 100,000 new cookie companies that apparently exist. Now, they're good, don't get me wrong. I like all those cookie companies. They're fantastic. I just don't like going to cities, and that's usually where those places are. I enjoy more outdoor activities, wilderness activities. Typically, the only time I go to Salt Lake now is if I'm traveling through it to get to the airport, or I'm going to a soccer match because I have season tickets. After spending time in Brazil, soccer, or for the rest of the world, football, is a passion for me. I love watching it. I love going to the stadium and being in that environment. And then as soon as the match is over and I realize that I'm surrounded by people, I'm like, I got to get out of here. I need to get back to Wyoming. One of my great friends who just recently passed had a passion for opera. So he and his spouse would travel to New York as often as he could to watch opera in New York. There were times even that he would travel overseas to watch some of his favorite operas. Not really my deal, but we'd go on hunts and he'd be listening to opera on the way into the mountains. And it was interesting. It's not that I disliked it, just that if I could choose, I would probably choose something different. I do like classical music. I'm more of an alternative 80s music person. Sometimes I'll even listen to techno. I listen to just about everything. Other fun dates include things like picnics. Again, find out what their favorite stuff is. I love charcuterie. So if we had a picnic and you threw out a spread of charcuterie and cheeses and some gherkins, that would be top tier for me. It's just those things that stand out. Go to an orchard, go pick apples, go pick strawberries. That was one of the fun things that Nancy and I did on our 10th anniversary. We were down in North Carolina and we found some farmers markets where you could pick your own strawberries. That was a super fun day we did. We even froze a bunch of the strawberries, brought them home, and then made strawberry syrup and sourdough pancakes. So we had pancakes and syrup for a while from our adventure in North Carolina. Very, very fun. She and I both like to fish, so we like to go to different places and catch specific fish. On that trip to North Carolina, granted it was our anniversary, but we were also there to fish, and we had not caught the southern Appalachian brook trout. So we did that while we were there, and that was super fun. We had a great time doing that. When I travel like that, I try and always find restaurants that I could not go to in the Rocky Mountain West. A restaurant that I'd have to fly to is preferred. So we usually try and find something that is unique to the area, and then we might eat there 2 or 3 times on a trip. But if I can find multiple places, I'll go from spot to spot to spot, kind of like a foodie would, just to experience other cultures, other things, other culinary experiences, which is fantastic too. So the out of doors for me is great. Any kind of date in the out of doors, just going on a canoe trip. Nancy and I are planning a trip to go to Florida. While granted, we're going to fish. Nancy likes to go shelling, so we'll go walk some beaches and look for shells. We both like fossils and finding special treasures, so we have a trip booked to go find fossilized bones and shark teeth in some of the rivers that flow into the Gulf Coast of Florida. Last year about this time, we went to Florida to go fish in the Everglades for peacock bass with a good friend of mine, Justin Wynn, who runs an outfitter down there. It was super fun because you're fishing smaller rods, 5 and 6 weights, small streamers, woolly buggers, that kind of stuff. And you're catching cichlids and peacock bass, and it is a riot. It was so much fun. We had such a ball doing that. Now, again, you don't have to fly. You don't have to go on extravagant trips. They can just be something small. Pick up your spouse after work and just go somewhere. I say ice cream a lot just because I like ice cream, so that's a fun thing for me. But there's a really cool ice cream place in Farson, Wyoming. It's a hole-in-the-wall, 2 intersections. It's a small mercantile on the corner. But they have some of the best ice cream I've ever had. So every time we drive through there, if we're heading up to Lander, we're going up to the east side of Yellowstone, we'll stop there and we'll have ice cream. So once in a while, if I know one of my buddies is coming through, I'll ask them if they'll stop there and get Nancy a cup of her favorite ice cream and throw it in their cooler. And then when they get to my place, she has a little special treat. Little thoughtful things like that are just what makes relationships better. Stuff as simple as going to a museum, going to an arboretum, going to see the butterflies hatch in a butterfly sanctuary, catching butterflies if you don't want to go somewhere. You can catch them around your house, planting a garden. That's also one of the things that Nancy and I both love to do is we spend time in our yard, in our garden. We're always changing it up. I'll build her a flower bed and she'll plant it. We're still working on a way too big greenhouse. Like most of the things I do with ADD, I think I can get it knocked out in no time, and it's going to take a lot longer than I thought. Got it mostly done now. I just need to get the roof on, but now it's winter, and so I got to wait till spring. But both of us are looking forward to having a greenhouse again. We enjoy spending time with the grandchildren. Sometimes what makes a fun date is if your spouse has a nephew or a niece or something like that, take them to an amusement park with you. Get to see the kids having fun. Take them to do something they wouldn't get to do normally, and it makes it for a fun experience for all of you. I guess what it really boils down to is go have experiences, date different people, enjoy what the world has to offer, and share those things with the people that you want to share them with. And the minute you find out that you're not compatible with the person, move on. Don't make it work. Nobody needs a project. The only project person in your life should be yourself. But always look for that next adventure. Always look for that thing that you can do for your significant other to make their day a little bit better. Leave a note in their car. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just throw it on a Post-it note. Love you, have a great day. Little things like that go a long way to cheering people up and actually helping them have a better day. Go on adventures and get out there and live your stories.